What's going on, guys, and welcome back to our Surviving Java series. And the reason why I'm flying around doing this intro is because I'm being hounded by this phantom that won't leave me alone, and I haven't got a bed. Do you reckon he can catch me if I'm flying? Okay, yeah, last episode we was working on a couple of mini farms, which was the Skulk farm as well as the Mud farm. I did check with Sizzle after making adjustments to his concrete maker, and he was perfectly fine with it, which is all happy days there. But after that, I did actually go and make some changes to our base area. Ouch. I should be really careful. Like, I've wasted like 5 or 6 totems by falling down here. These are all resources for a project that I want to do today, and what I did work on is tidying up the sort of pathways going around. So I boxed in all the redstone of our standard item filters along this side of chests, and I'm using the red terracotta, goes really well with the mangrove trapdoors. And then I've also gone with the birch sort of surroundings. Very nice use of new trapdoors. Okay, thank you. And then I've done like over the sea lanterns that obviously light up the redstone on the other side, preventing lag from when the system's in running. I've just covered them with mangrove trapdoors, and it's given it a bit of an oriental feel. And then I've sort of tidied up this farm area. All the coppers are now oxidized, so it looks a lot better. And yeah, it works extremely well. So zombies want to spawn zombies, although we tend to get quite a lot of glow squids in here for some reason. And then they come, drop down, activate this, and so on. And then I sort of covered up this area, also tidied up this area, just sort of boxed it in. And then when you walk around this side, the same goes for this side here, where I've sort of just sort of bridged it all along. I do want to do more. I'm probably going to bring the deep slate to cover up this corner section here, just to hide these like hoppers and all of the redstone above there, because it doesn't really look overly nice when you're coming down and you can see all of this redstone. Like on the inside here, you can't really see much of it, which is all happy days, but when you're through the other areas, you can see quite a lot of it, especially when you're wandering around the back of it. But I'm quite happy with the way the sort of pathways on either side. It has given it a bit... Oh my god, is there just slime chunks everywhere around here? I do need to actually find a bed in case it is still night time. There we go. We can sleep away the night, and then I can show you the changes that I made up top as well, because I have been working a little bit more on our pathways, as well as doing a in memoriam little build after the Queen passing. I was like, may as well just do a little build to sort of memorialise the sort of it's quite an important date over here in the UK. So I built a blossom tree overlooking this little bench here, which is memorial to Queen Elizabeth II, 1926 to 2022. And then after I'd done this and showed it to Clowd, he came along and added this note block. Which I thought was an extremely nice little touch to the actual build itself. And yeah, so after I'd done that, I did actually carry on the pathways. So the pathway now wraps under here next to this little in cove with the bench, and I've got a couple of flags either side of it. Got the note box here, then the pathway actually carries on around this side and around the actual edges, because initially I did just have this fencing sort of boxing off our little lake area. But then I wanted to add like a pathway and add in the hidden lighting, using moss carpets and pumpkins underneath them, just to sort of tidy it up and get rid of the torch spam quite a bit. Also did quite a lot of hiding torch spam going along the entirety of the path. The other section I did carry on over this side. I finished off the pathway that goes from here, and I'm not sure if this was before last episode or after last episode that I worked on this little pathway. And this pathway actually just goes over to Psychotica's base, which is just there across the water. And then the other section I also worked on was me and Psy cleared out a large strip for a new pathway, which I started on initially, but I've not actually completed it. So the pathway that comes from the other side of the main zoo building, like we've got this little sort of pagoda roof styled bridge, which I really like. I like mixing it up with the different build styles for each of the bridges, just to add a little bit of variation to the pathways. Otherwise it gets very sort of simplistic and boring. And I've moved a bunch of the resources over here in order to carry on the pathway. This one then is going to lead and wind all the way down here. It's going to be quite a long pathway, and it goes all the way up to our Ravager enclosure, which is the octagon enclosure based on our... Hello. That guy really likes the little house. But it's super dangerous down here, and we've got ocelot spawning. Yeah, they do not like visitors coming in. But nevertheless, that's the update portion of today's episode. That's everything that I've worked on in between. I'm going to continue doing bits like that in between episodes, because I don't think working on pathways and stuff is overly interesting, and it's not like it's a load of progress. It's sort of just linking up our map, which you can see pretty well now. So we've got the pathway that comes from over here. This one's going to stretch all the way down to the Ravager enclosure. This one then comes along here, up past the homestead build, up here past the polar bear exhibit, and then up here to Psychotica's base. We've also mapped out and cut out a pathway that goes over the Clouds. That one's not been done yet. Waiting on Clowd. He's actually down with a flu or a bug at the moment. So once he's back, I'm going to get on his case about sighting on that pathway. And then this one goes over to my base. We have actually got a lot more to actually build. We've got a turtle enclosure over there that we need to bridge a pathway to. You've got max base down here on the south, which we need to path over to at some point, but that's going to be a very, very long path, and I'm not too sure how best to approach that one. But nevertheless, while we are actually here, I do actually need to go pick up the resources, and then we can head on over to where we need to go. Alright, so we're finally here. Very long minecart journey all the way here, but we are now back at the ancient city. Now, I want to start working on our new villager trading hall, and the design that I've got so far is to replace all of these sort of statues on the right and the statues on the left, as well as this indent, the little bridge crossways, as well as this entire walkway section. I want to completely tear out and replace with my new sort of block palette and build style. Also, I don't like this little incline and then decline, because it sort of goes up and then comes back down and then goes back up. I didn't really understand the point of it, so I'm sort of doing away with that, and then it'll sort of come up to this section here, which is where I've designed it up to. And then what we will do is carry on changing bit by bit until we've completely renovated the entire place with our new chosen block palette, which is a very clean and polished sort of look. With I do believe we're going with mainly sort of quartz for the nice clean look, and then we are going with hints of purple as well as gold. I think gold? Are we going with gold? No, I don't think we are. I think we're just going with oh no, we are going with gold, but I've got gold, which is why I didn't bother packing any. Yeah, let me quickly get all of these boxes. We are actually going to have to clear a little area further here. Okay, I'm fairly sure this is... Yeah, this actually goes up outside, and I can show you what Sai and Sizzle actually helped me do in order to get this area ready. Can we get up here now, please? Thank you. So, if you remember at the end of our last... Was it the end of the last episode? Or the episode before? That we went looking to see if there's villagers around this area. And there was a couple, or there was 3 in total, left over. And that was from a village like over 600 blocks away. So, Sai and Sizzle actually helped me run this massive... I really like the look of it. The scaffolding style train line that just sort of runs across the entire top of the biome. Like it went through about 4 shulkers worth of scaffolding just in order to get over here, but this is roughly where the villagers were, and then they helped me bring them over there. Then Psychotica actually helped me build the villager breeder, because, well, quite frankly, I'm absolutely useless at building villager breeders. Not once have I built one and it worked first time straight off the bat. This is where the last one was that we had to actually pick up. You're not my dog, are you? No, you're not. Why are you following me then? So she actually helped me sort of set up and build the villager breeder, well, while she was working on the mechanics of it. getting the villagers into place and lining up the beds and whatnot. I was just doing what I usually do, is I usually just decorate around the build. So I was sort of tidying it up with the leaf blocks and then the colour, and then we got like a beehive in there with a bunch of bees in order to make the crops grow quicker, so then the farmer harvests quicker, and then we get more babies quicker. Can we get up there so we can actually have a look? And land. So yeah, so we just got them in here. The bees sort of fly over to the azalea leaves, get pollinated, and then they sort of fly over the crops and give them the bone meal effect. It works relatively well unless the bees do this and they start trying to make their way out and take damage in the water for some strange reason. Like, I don't understand that mechanic of them, which means eventually they may well die, but for the time being that we have actually got a couple doing their job. But yeah, what we'll do now is, rather than me giving you the constant updates of everything I'm doing, I will jump into a time lapse of me clearing this area and building the main villager trading section of what our new trading hall is going to be. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Alright guys, so it is finally done. Well, a section of it is finally done, should I say. I'm not sure if you noticed there's a bit of a time jump during a time lapse, and that is after I finish clearing it all out. Usually what I do with the time lapse footage is that I'll sort of record for about an hour and a half, stop it so then the video sort of saves, and then I'll start recording again in increments of like an hour to 2 hours. But I lost about an hour and a half worth of building, and it was the building section of these water sections either side of the walkway, as well as the villager trading pods, and then it jumped straight to me building the towers that are on either side. So yeah, unfortunately we did lose that bit of footage, but hopefully the time jump doesn't seem a little bit too messy. But behind here, what we've got is, how many pods have we got here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we've got 48 trading pods just on this section alone. And the way this works is that behind these guys here, I've done like a little too high walkway where we're going to have a zombie eventually. I still need to obviously get him into place, but I want to get the villagers into place first. And then in order to infect them, you just sort of hit the note block and then that goes down. And then the zombie can attack the villager, and then you bring them back up and then you cure them. And that's the way the whole system works. and I'm thinking that we're going to want quite a lot of farmers, so it's going to be the very tedious process now, because obviously I want the farmers, every farmer, to have the melon and pumpkin trade, so I'm going to have to unlock some of their trades up top. And if they've got both trades, then I'll then bring them down into here. I then need to create a adequate way of getting them down here, which is going to be fun. I was contemplating just rebuilding villager breeder back over this side here, but yeah, in order for you to actually get a scope of what I'm currently trying to do, is the walkway here. Obviously we replaced all the deep slate, and we've replaced the little incline that was either side of the walkway with these gold rimmed sort of pools of water, and I think the blue just adds a nice little touch. And then we're using sort of the purples as well as the clean white and gold, and they're all very sort of regal colours, as in they're all very sort of royalty themed colours and very bright and sort of polished, which I do like. I've had to use some diorite because I had to find a white block that had a wall variant. I was really hoping that they'd add like calcite walls. I want to use calcite in the build somewhere, but it just didn't fit anywhere in here, and I needed a sort of textured but plain darker block for the actual walkway, so I've gone with the cyan terracotta, which works really nicely against the white, so I'm quite happy with it. And then I'm using the stripped what are they called? Crimson. Yeah, the stripped crimson logs, as well as we've got purple candles, and we've got the crying obsidian just for that nice little I wanted the sort of dripping effect that you get from the crying obsidian, which I really do like. Little droplets that fall every now and again, and it also gives off a light level, so it's just a little bit more illuminated compared to the sort of dingy dark greyness that the rest of the ancient city sort of gives off. And eventually we will work on it more and more and sort of convert more and more of it. But now for a bit of a time jump, because it's going to take me a few days worth of doing this, and that's to get the 48 villagers into place. There's no point me doing a time lapse because I don't know how long it's going to take. It's going to be done over the course of a few days. When I've got some spare time in between doing other IRL bits, for me to work on getting the villagers trades, because obviously we're going to want a bunch of farmers, probably a bunch of blacksmiths and weaponsmiths and toolsmiths. Not too many, just enough like so we've got all of the tools, weapons and armors covered. And then on the other side I want to start working on librarians. I don't know what other trades I'm going to be looking to set up farms for. So if I want to set up like a mini zombified piglin farm, like a portal based farm on one of these sides in order to get gold, I guess we could bring in some clerics, but there's nothing stopping us from having clerics closer to wherever we put them farms. But this side I really just want farmers on like quite a few of them, probably about 16 farmers I reckon should be good, which will take up the majority of one side, and then a bunch of weapon armor smiths and get them all on the one side with the farmers, and then the entire other side to have our book trades. So I'm not too sure how many enchanted books there are, but I'm fairly sure once we get them in place and we start unlocking them, we'll sort of double up on some of the trades, and that way we can limit the amount of librarians we actually need to ensure we've got every single book trade. But nevertheless, it's going to be some grinding and a half for me to get this done, and I'm going to have to go up top because I'm going to have to set up some little micro farms in order to get some potatoes and carrots. I've got a bunch of emeralds on me, I've got carrots, potatoes and a bunch of bone meal, just so I'm able to do that and start unlocking the farmers trades. Once I've got all of the villagers in place and the zombies in place and we can start sort of curing them, I will bring you back, but that's going to definitely be in a day or two. So yeah, I guess I'll catch you back after quite a bit of a time jump. Yeah, so I guess I'll catch you back in a bit. Alright then guys, so fast forward around about 3 days. It's taken in order to get all of these villagers done and dusted. As you can see from the amount of farmer villager heads I've got behind me, I actually had to go through quite a lot of them in order to make sure that all the ones I got had the pumpkin trade, because obviously we want pumpkin and melon trades, and I did set up just a quick budget pumpkin and melon farm here. Obviously this is not a efficient manner of doing them in, but it is getting me a steady supply of them, provided I've got someone here sort of AFK. Set up just a little berry farm, and I've also got some foxes. This is just stuff that I was doing in the meantime while waiting for villagers to breed, and so we could get enough of them. Then I was dropping the villagers down here. Now I went through quite a lot of villagers in order to get this done correctly. So drop through some powdered snow, and we've got a slime block down here. Now I did initially have them falling down, then they was dying in the walls, and then I replaced all the walls with glass, and then they was dying from fall damage, so I put track down, and once they land on track they don't die. But then I thought, okay, well, I'd save some time and send about 8 of them down at the same time, and then they took fall damage from falling on top of one another's heads, so I lost around about a whole pod load when I was doing it that way. But nevertheless, with the help of Clowd and Psychotica, they both came on to help me sort through all of the villagers. We have pretty much got every single book trade that is available currently in the game, barring a few exceptions. I think there's lore for the fishing rod we haven't got. Other than that, I can't think of any. Like, we've got all the main ones. We've got like the Smite 5, Sharpness 5, Infinity, Silk Touch, Fortune, Efficiency 5, Unbreaking 3. All the good ones, and then we've got 16 farmers along here. So I've just been letting that farm run in order to then start unlocking their trades. I obviously had to unlock their initial trade in order to see if they had the pumpkin ones. And then we've got the armor smith, weaponsmith and toolsmith. Weaponsmith has the axe and the sword. The toolsmith has the hoe, shovel and pickaxe. And then our armor smith has a whole set of chainmail and a whole set of diamond. I have gone round and done the curing process twice on the librarians, once on everyone on this side. I've got a zombie behind each one with a diamond sword. Thanks to our weaponsmith, I grabbed them from him. And then there's another one on this side as well. Just here. There we go. And then they were grabbed from a zombie spawner, which I found down this hallway just down there. So I'm leaving this open for the time being, just in case we need to get any more. I did also add a bubble elevator that goes up. We've got the drop chute in order to get back down. And then down here, I was just working on cleaning up our little train station to get back and forth from the main zoo building. It is like a 10-minute journey. If I show you the main map, it goes all the way over to the west over here to our main zoo building, which is just here. And then the main zoo building is connected to like my base and a bunch of other places, which makes it highly convenient when I don't feel like flying. I just sit in the minecart for 10 minutes while I go make a cup of tea. But yeah, that's this little section of the project pretty much done. I do need to find out, well, not find out, but sort of work out where I want storage for all of the books and items we're buying and selling to the librarians and the farmers. So I'm going to have to obviously think of a new design for a melon and pumpkin farm, obviously using the same sort of mechanic, but I want to make it fit in. I do want it to fit into one of these. Now you've got a walkway that comes down here with a nice little arch, and then either side of the walkway you've got one of these like dome shaped top sort of freestanding structures. This one's nearly completely gone, and this one is half gone, so I do need to find, I do apologise for that, I do need to find one that's actually fully intact. Oh yeah, I forgot that I've got actual normal fireworks, so I take damage. This one's pretty much nearly completely intact, so I may take a copy of this and work on changing a version of this into a melon farm and then a pumpkin farm, have them sitting either side over here, which should be pretty good, over here actually. And then I need to find a way of transporting the items over to the central area in order to trade to the farmers. By the way, I managed to kill a zombie as well. A bunch of the villagers had been taking like entity cramming damage from where I wasn't moving them quick enough at a certain point, so I did make a shortcut of healing potions like strength 2, and then I was throwing them at the villagers. Zombie was pathfinding to me, he then took the splash damage from the healing potions and died, so I ended up having to replace one of them. That was fun. Everything here has been really tight, like sorting out the librarians alone. If it wasn't for Clowd and Sai helping me along the way, it would have taken like a good extra day or two if I was just doing it by myself, because my god, is it a tedious and tooth pulling process. Is like because I didn't want to have so many doubles, so rather than getting the first trade locked in, once I found one that had the first trade that I wanted, I then fully unlocked him to see what else we had, to then eliminate the ones that we would aim for further on down the line. But we obviously have ended up with a couple of doubles. I know that we've got like 3 infinities, 2 silk touches, a couple of blast protection 4s, but now we have actually got permanent access to all of the books that we could ever want. And I've got all of the stuff in here for curing and buying books, and I've also got a shulker full of emeralds somewhere. I'm not sure if I put it back in my ender chest or not. Well, it's definitely not in there. Yeah, I've got one in here with emeralds, and once I've got the melon and pumpkin farm up and running here, after I've designed it and built it, that is, we can then start trading mass quantities to our farmers in order to get a lot more emeralds very, very quickly, because the more trades you could do with one interaction, the quicker you're going to be earning emeralds. So once we unlock these, after we got the pumpkins and we sell them a bunch of them, we'll unlock the melons, and that way we could do 2 lots of trades at the same time. So yeah, that's where we are, and it's been quite the quite a lot of work on this for this episode. It's been a lot of time, and especially I think the most time consuming thing is sorting out the villagers, like unlocking their trades, and then the clearing out the building, which I thought was going to take the longest. Wasn't. It was actually mining all the deep slate and removing the existing structures to replace them with the new polished versions. But nevertheless, I'm pretty happy with the way that it's turned out, and hopefully you guys are too, and you like the way that I'm leaning with this sort of project. It will be something that I will work on more and more as we go forward, but nevertheless, for today's episode, I think that's definitely going to do it. And yeah, I think that's everything covered. Hopefully in the next episode I'll have the melon and pumpkin farms designed, so that way we can work on them, and that will probably be something that we can start next episode off on. But yeah, nevertheless, hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode, and let me get the right camera angle, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.